All right, and I'm back for the final installment of the Male Loneliness Epidemic, Episode 1, Pornography Addiction. So we're going to wrap this up, this article about some psychological downsides of being an Onlyfans creator. Well, okay, 2 and 3 are psychological. Reason number 1 that we did was an unfortunate safety issue. Obviously, no one should be breaking into anybody's house. So, and of course, some may say my take on this might have missed the point. I don't want to say I missed the point. Because, obviously, no women should be treated as objects. But, to me, if you're making a career out of something that allows you to be objectified, man or woman, because, men get objectified too. Go on Grindr. You want to see objectification. Don't ask me how I know that, but men do it to each other a lot. And, anyway, yeah, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So, obviously, no one should have their privacy invaded, but if you put yourself out there on the internet, I'm not going to feel bad for the OnlyFans creator that feels like the people who subscribe to her don't respect her. What did you think you were going to get? I will, however, feel bad for the one who had her house broken into. And I feel bad for victims of revenge porn. People who had their stuff shared without their consent. Those are victims. If you put yourself out there on the internet, you create the account, and you start a business model for where your clientele is going to be lonely men with disposable income. That's the business relationship. They pay you to do demeaning things or watch you do degrading things. And each one of them probably has a different fetish, unique, so spare me your tears on that. Because that's just the nature of the business. That's what you signed up for. It just sucks that people are calling that empowering. Because to me, it's not. And everyone can define what's empowering to them. As far as I know, my friends had a good experience. And that's cool. But I hope, I hope that this friend of mine doesn't become, part of the 34% that feels depressed or whatever. Okay, but final point. OnlyFans content creators may be under pressure to create sexually explicit content. Get this. Yeah. 2021 report released by the Avery Center. This is an NGO. I wish I knew what that stood for. They aim to empower victims of commercial sex trafficking. So that's good. They're a good group then, hopefully, as far as I know. They found that 30% of the OnlyFans content creators they surveyed had received emails and notifications from the platform informing them that their profile would be taken down if they didn't post new content. 6% of the respondents disclosed to the Avery Center that they felt they had very little control over what they created and how the material was used, as they had traffickers who managed their accounts for them. Okay, so here's something that OnlyFans isn't exactly vetting. I think this is the most important point yet. That's why we had to do this in another segment. I couldn't rush it. You have victims of trafficking on OnlyFans. Traffickers manage their account. So you have creators on there who aren't actually the creators. They're victims of trafficking. But how can the consumer tell? And this goes back to the point my stepdad made back in the day about how some of the porn you watch online are victims of trafficking. This was always going on. And, if you can't find a way to regulate this, we're doomed as this, that's not good. I don't know what else to say there. You could be subscribing to someone I mean, unless they're a prominent adult entertainer like a Bella Thorne or a friend of yours that you know in real life, you could very well be subscribing to a victim of trafficking. Someone who does not want all that out there. These are the victims. The biggest victims right here. Okay. And finally, 34% of the creators surveyed said that they have experienced negative physical or mental health consequences. According to the report, some of the common mental health outcomes included anxiety, depression, shame, fear, and low self-esteem. I would suggest that a lot of the people who created these accounts already suffered from this. And they thought that putting their bodies out there, they'd just get some compliments and they'd feel better about themselves, when really it just made the problem worse. So, I'm not gonna get all sensationalist about this 34% because we have a lot of people in America, more than ever, it seems, that are depressed. Which is why I wanted to do a whole series on the loneliness epidemic. And I felt like this porn thing was just one of many issues. But here's the conclusion. OnlyFans is a platform that blends social media with pornography. While such platforms have become normalized in our society, we still don't fully understand their psychological impact on the content creators and society as a whole. While there is a range of content available on OnlyFans, it is primarily used as an intimate, personalized pornography medium. It's important to consider all of the implications before embracing it as a mainstream vehicle of female empowerment or dismissing it as a destructive result of the tumultuous year that was 2020. Well, I'm going to go with the latter, destructive result. Ultimately, I don't think anybody is winning here except for the handful at the top that are making hundreds of thousands. Most people don't even make that much. So, I'm just not buying it. So, finally, I want to end things by talking about NoFap. Now, granted, it's a support group you can join. It's a .com, so it's a commercial thing. I'm not going to join their newsletter, but this is apparently it starts as free. And they've got a lot of blog posts you can look at. One thing that I want to point out is the World Health Organization recognizes compulsive porn use. This is an article they pointed out. But so they're happy about that. And basically, one point I want to point out, problematic porn use isn't even about religiosity. Only 14% of NoFap's users listed religious reasons as a factor. Of course, because it's about lonely people. Who became addicted. But their slogan is get a grip on life. So, they've got some advice on rebooting from porn addiction. The basics of rebooting. Rebooting is the term coined by recovering porn users for the process of abstaining from pornography, masturbation, and sometimes orgasm altogether for a sufficient duration to recover from these negative effects. By abstaining from problematic sexual habits, we can reboot the brain to factory settings. Although we at NoFap may have our recommendations on effective ways to reboot, no two people will have the same rebooting experience. Okay, so they acknowledge that, which is good. Here's a little history. NoFap began when a man by the name of Alexander Rhodes decided to gamify the rebooting experience by challenging himself and a small group to abstain from masturbation for 1 week. Okay, this sounds like a Seinfeld ripoff. Turned into something good. Anybody ever see the episode of The Contest where they abstain from masturbating as like a bet? But they get back into it, and basically at the end of the episode, they all felt better for doing it. So, like, they were ornery when they weren't masturbating. Which, of course, that relates back to my whole superstition I mentioned where I had to masturbate before work. But anyway, word spread about this initial challenge, and a larger group tried a month-long rebooting challenge for a month. Before he knew it, Alexander formed a community of people interested in shedding habitual porn use and rediscovering healthy sexuality. So, basically, the core of NoFap's approach to rebooting is challenges and community. Share their experiences, the struggle, and victories with other rebooters. So, it's basically an online addiction support group. So, now before you can begin a challenge, the user has to choose the duration of the challenge and what parameters constitute a failure. So, once you do that, the conditions for victory are simple. If you abstain from your chosen problem behaviors for the entirety of your chosen duration, you've completed a rebooting challenge. See, I like this. And this is different from, say, AA. And I know AA is about alcoholism. And one of my biggest beefs with AA, and I know this is a little aside, and it's helped people in my family who have struggled with alcoholism, but they have this admit you're powerless, follow the same 12 steps. It's a very collective approach. And I'm an individualist. I am not a collectivist. I believe the smallest minority is the individual. And, without individual rights, there can't be civil rights, all that, I plan on doing more political episodes as we get closer to the election. But for now, I'm on this. But the idea is you can come up with your own challenge that's geared to you. So, but the thing is, the duration, whatever it is, you have to stick with it to the end. And that said, they don't want you to get too hung up on deciding the perfect duration. You just choose a duration and get going, or get not going, should they say. And after a period of abstinence from these chosen behaviors, whether it be just porn or masturbation altogether, after a period of abstinence, it's fine to increase your duration if you feel like your brain needs more time. So, they suggest a fixed number of days. NoFap's gold standards of success is a 90-day reboot. Now, that is difficult for most, yet achievable. And they want to point out that most users see marked improvement in their well-being once they've achieved victories. You can read about victory stories on their forums. Some rebooters will start with this 90-day challenge only to reevaluate towards the end that extending their challenge would be a benefit. So, some ambitious users may try to go a whole year. Others might just do 2 weeks. So, it really just depends. So, some people also do monthly challenges. And then there's symptom-based durations. So, they want to choose a reboot until they feel the benefits of a healthier sexuality. And so really, it's just about what you want to do. And their forums provide day counting badges for tracking consecutive days. So it's kind of like a sobriety chip, except for fapping. Or not fapping, I should say. These counters can be reset to day 1 when a member decides they have broken their abstinence streak. So, counter is meant to track the whole current streak, not progress in your current challenge. So, if you do back-to-back challenges, your day counter rolls over from one challenge into the next. So, like if you do a September challenge followed by an October challenge, you don't need to reset your counter to day 1. It's really about consecutive days. So, you can go on to read more about their challenges and this and that. But the one that I would suggest is porn-free mode, abstaining from porn. You just gotta abstain from looking at porn. You can masturbate. Use your imagination. So, some people, PM mode, that's the middle, abstain from porn and masturbation. And then the hard mode is abstaining from porn, masturbation, and orgasm altogether. Maybe this is for sex addicts. Because to me, I would think the whole point of this would be, to achieve a healthier sex life with, real people. As opposed to online people who, are real but not real to you. But anyway, that does it for my dive into this is the Male Loneliness Epidemic series. On the next installment of the Male Loneliness Epidemic series, I'm going to look into dating issues, such as Tinder, in-person, double standards, and the ways, basically the divide between men and women, how certain things in society have changed, but how it may have left men kind of lost in other ways. That's for next time.